Welcome to What's in Our Medical Kit. Very exciting vlog coming this week, guys. I don't want anyone to hit pause and go, oh, medical. We are going to make this fun, right, Will?
We're going to try. We're going to
try. If you live full-time on a boat, you quickly figure out that if you want to survive, you have to learn how to wear a lot of hats. Having your sailor's hat is never enough.
This is your way of cleaning the boat, Avalon?
Mm-hmm.
Using the morning dew?
It's the lazy smart man's way.
One of the hats you have to have on board and hope to never use is your physician's hat. Because when you're offshore, you're the doctor, and the only pharmacy around is what you have on board.
Oh, God. You have to throw up?
I think so. And I'm going to
go in the bathroom.
With our Atlantic crossing, our travels will now be taking us to places way offshore, and we knew that our medical kit needed a serious overhaul. Join us as we take you through how we stocked up our medical kit for offshore cruising. So stick around, we're going to make it fun. It's going to be the best medical kit fun video you've ever watched.
For humans and cats.
Hit it. For humans and cats. Thank you so much to our patrons whose support make these episodes possible. We pretty much have equipment to do open heart surgery right now.
It feels like it. All right, so medical at sea is a big issue because you're sailing offshore, you're going hundreds of miles away, and if something does go wrong, you don't have the local pharmacy to go ahead and resort to and say, how do I fix things?
Which really served us well in the RV, guys, because in the RV, our medical kit was busting at the seams. It was probably about this big, right?
About that.
And then when we came on the boat,
and we thought that was a lot.
And we thought it was a lot because we were dragging around in backpacks and stuff when we weren't in the RV, and it was, we barely needed anything in it most of the time because if we needed something serious, there was a pharmacy nearby, so it was just basic stuff, right? When we got on the boat, the medical kit was about this big because
and we added painkiller anxiety.
We've got little labels. We love our label maker. And basically,
welcome to boat life.
Previous owners were coastal cruisers and again had access to anything they wanted at pharmacies, so it was very easy for them to get what they needed.
Right. There was a basic wound care, dressing, so forth and so on, but other than that, it was a very bare bones situation. Since we've got on board, we've been preparing this boat for an ocean crossing for about 16 months at this point, and we have been slowly accumulating our stash of medical to the point that I feel like we are now 100% ready, with the exception of one thing, but we're not going to do that now. We'll tell you what that is later.
It's a little hard to get.
Yeah, so in other words, we've moved from those three stashes. We have more.
Three.
We have three. And then they sprouted wings. Now we have also another three. I feel like this is a cooking show.
All right.
We have spices. We have nutmeg.
So Will is kind of, or someone has put me in charge of all the medical stuff. Not because I have any qualifications at all. I really am not a big fan of dealing with any of the medical stuff, but I have taken on the task for the family. So some of this stuff is kind of new for Will. Before this, he was going, okay, what are all of these for?
So a lot of this conversation will be actually me learning as well, but that's okay. What we have right here is what we had on the boat after the first couple months when we started realizing we have to up our game a lot more. And it's raining.
Uh-oh.
We have a hatch open. We need it for light. So if we close that hatch, we're going to look really, really dark. We're going to look like this.
So initially we took our medical kit that we had in the RV and it was here and kind of broke it into, I think these came in a pack of 3. I bought 3 of these bins. And I started labeling them. I think the first thing I labeled was like, I don't know, what was it? Headache and fever. And then there were a couple other medicines that came in here. We have a lot of allergies. So then there was allergies. And then of course, guys, we've got to have vertigo, seasickness, and jet lag. So this became kind of
I can tell it's
busting at the seams.
There's no room for anything
and
else.
I think, there's a bunch of others here. Bug spray, vitamins, cold. This became our go-to medical kit on the boat. And once I started doing some research to see what else we needed when we were going to cross the ocean, it became really comprehensive. And I realized that we were going to end up spending a bundle of money to kind of build this on our own, and it was going to take an enormous amount of time. And I realized
from here to what we eventually bought was the Marine 3000. Yes, it slices, dices, and it also does the dishes.
Now, this thing was a great decision. This did cost a pretty penny. It was it $800?
$800.
$800 US. It was a great decision. I think all in with this and with all of this stuff, We are probably at around a $1,200 US medical kit, and it is, in my opinion, money very, very well spent.
We're trying to get a reduction on our insurance costs because of this, but they're not having any part of it, unfortunately.
We went back and forth about should we spend this money, should we not. If it was just Will and I on board, guys, probably this would have been our medical kit, to be real honest. We have the kids, and we need to take better care of ourselves as well because we are parents, and that's why we made the decision to buy this kit. And I don't regret it one bit. Particularly when we bought it, we kind of had an idea what we were getting into. Once I actually had it here, we had it for several months. Last week I opened it up and itemized everything, and I was even more pleasantly surprised of what was in here and how well structured and organized it is and how many issues it can cover. The bag has certain things, and then the bins have different things. We stick more towards female issues, which didn't come in this bag. Or not female issues, but female medication, which did not come in this bag. None of the antibiotics or prescription meds came in here. Bug spray, sunscreen, all that kind of stuff did not come in here. So CPR, let's move this out of the way.
Let's get this out of the way. Show and tell time.
We are not going to go through every single item that's in here, guys, because that would be really annoying and keep you here forever for no reason.
Right. Now with CPR, with the idea of now upgrading to this kit, these kits are only as good as the person who is actually using it. So it's nice to say I have this massive kit, but if I have no clue what I'm doing, it does me no good. So what we did was also, about a month ago, we attended an RYA First Aid at Sea course.
And then what I might want to do is I might want to get some elastic bandage or some tape. And then what I want to do is I'm probably going to elevate it on the level of the heart.
Apply pads. Plug in connector.
Stay clear.
Deliver shock now. Press the orange button. Shock delivered. It is safe to touch the patient.
Imagine doing that for 2 hours, Larva.
It covered just about everything that we need to go ahead and utilize all these items.
Yeah,
on
fractures
board.
and sprains, bleeding.
And it was really interesting because it was 100% hands-on. We all got to practice using it, and it was one of those experiences that
It was fun.
it was fun. It was like instead of going to a museum, we're going to do a first aid class today.
And we know how to use all this stuff since the CPR class. And we also, the kit came with this awesome book, which is really great about how to use certain things in here because obviously you're at sea, you can't Google. And then I did put notes in the Excel spreadsheet, which is going to be printed out, that list how to use each thing as well.
And as much as we're all into overkill, because as you can tell, this is a bit overkill, we also have like 3 other first aid books, just in case one doesn't cover it.
Right.
And that's fine. I mean, really, when it comes down to someone's health and safety and sort of whether they live or die or they're comfortable on board our boat, we really want to make sure that we have that covered. It's no fun being out of commission on these things. So we're going to do everything we can. I mean, clearly when it comes to CPR, this is like the highest form of out of commission. So yes, we do have that covered.
All right, let's bring out another bag.
Fractures and sprains.
And we talked a lot about this in the CPR class, which was really fabulous as well. My favorite thing in here is the splints. They even have one for the finger, although growing up, because I was a sport player, we just taped the fingers together. Nothing too exciting in here. Some cold packs, a lot of adhesive, whatever those are called, gauze bandages.
Elastic bandages.
All right, let's bring on another one.
Burns.
So this is one of the things we bought, aloe with lidocaine, which was not in there. This one, each kit comes with a couple of sterile rubber gloves as well. The idea is that if someone has a burn or an incident or whatever, rather than come here and dig through something, maybe find it in here, they can just go in there and grab the one that says burns while Will and I are assisting the person that is in need.
Right. Next one is wound care, and this is a monster.
This one is pretty big. There is a huge amount of redundancy in here and overkill of stuff, but the thing is, this is probably the one that we will use the most. All kinds of different bandages in here, sponges.
We actually have condoms.
Condoms?
It's not. There are practical applications for condoms
There are practical
in the
applications.
first aid world.
There are.
Let's go leave it at that.
They can be a tourniquet. They can be a rubber glove if you need something that is, keeping this. This one's really. This one's a little tight.
We had a little fun with this one.
Yeah, this one's a little bit tight.
I mean, there's even cold compresses, hot compresses in here. There is the whole gambit of items that can be utilized to make someone feel at ease. Bleeding.
So interesting enough, some things that didn't come in this kit were steri strips. So we had to add to this one quite a bit. But I think what was in here would have worked fine. We just felt like we do a little bit of overkill because often on a boat, this is probably one of the bags that's used quite often, getting fingers caught on stuff or tripping or catching or whatever the case may be. Trauma and dental. Yeah, this is probably one of my scariest bags, I think. In this bag, we have obviously the ability to fill a tooth. We also have IV set. We have a bunch of syringes. We have a catheter. We have a bunch of needles. So a long time ago when we started traveling, we had a friend that was carrying a suture kit with her. And another friend had given her, who was a nurse, had given her a hard time and said, why would you carry something that you're really not qualified to use? And the friend said, in the event I'm someplace that doesn't have the proper equipment or a clean needle or anything like that, I can hand this to a professional to do. If we're at sea and it comes to a situation where Will and I have to do this and we have to look through a book and go by way of a book to do it, if it means someone's life or death, then we will do it even though we are not qualified. But the idea is that we have backup systems, and in an emergency, we can get help. And that's where insert, do you want to talk about Iridium?
We have Iridium Go. So we have satellite communications. And in this situation, in this world, being without a lifeline, meaning an ability to contact the human world outside the boat when you're offshore is a monstrous thing. We have the ability to make phone calls anywhere we are on the planet. So if we're on a passage, we can always call someone who knows what they're doing. And we can also send text messages, we can send emails, so forth and so on. But the idea is that we're never alone on a boat in the middle of the ocean when we have our ability to make satellite phone calls. And that is, I think, our biggest first aid kit that we could want.
Also, what some people do, we know a lot of families who have done this, they'll have a doctor kind of on call. So where they can pay a fee, let's say, I don't know how much it costs. Let's just say hypothetically, it's 150 euros for your 3-week crossing, and you can actually call the doctor, like, my kid has a fever, can I do this, or what can I do? And they will make recommendations. The people that I know that use this usually have younger kids that get sick more often or get fevers. I don't think we're going to do that on our crossing. I don't think it's really necessary. We do have friends that are nurses and doctors that also we could get in touch with if need be, but I think that's a great service. So medications. This is kind of one of my, oops, it doesn't even say medications there. Wrong side, guys. Here we go. Medications. This is one of my favorite ones to talk about because this is a one I think that stresses people out the most, particularly people in the U.S. In the U.S., to my knowledge, and I haven't lived in the U.S. in 7 years, you need a prescription for pretty much anything. It is not necessarily the case across the globe. So when you go to another country and you need to get antibiotics, there are actually countries where you can build your medical kit or stock up on things where you can just go and buy antibiotics over the counter. Here in Spain, you can actually go to a pharmacy, and if you...
It's almost a hybrid situation.
Okay.
So a lot of...
We'll handle this part.
A lot of countries that are very much into boaters and launching, and sort of people do like long crossings. The pharmacies that are around the marinas and around all these port towns, they're prepared for you as a boater, as a ship's captain. And the idea is that if you are, because you want things not for when you feel bad today, but when you feel bad in the future. And so
2 weeks into a 3-week crossing.
Right. And so to get a doctor's prescription for something that does not yet occur is almost, it doesn't really make sense. It's almost like going an additional step to get what you eventually need, what you don't need today.
And they don't want to be handing out medication if they don't know that you're ill because you may be using it for other situations, which I understand.
Right. So what pharmacies do is that they will go ahead, and if you bring your ship's papers to the pharmacist, they will issue you medications that will normally only be accessible with the doctor's prescriptions, meaning high dosage items like
ibuprofen,
lidocaine,
but high dosage, antibiotics,
so forth and so on.
Some eye creams and ear creams and nose creams that have an antibiotic will require a prescription. Anything that is any type of an anxiety medication, as well as anything if you need something more like Vicodin or something like that. That one is a little kind of on the line.
It depends on the pharmacist.
Here in Spain, they would not give us something that strong. We do need to go see an actual doctor and get it prescribed. And if you're asking why would you need something to that strength, crossing an ocean, in the event something really, really horrible happens, like someone's arm is cut off, you want to be able to relieve the pain, and the medication is the best way to do that. So we've got ibuprofen here, we've got something for diarrhea, we've got something for constipation, we've got all of these are all different, these are all meds that are non-prescription that came in the medical portion of the kit. And you really want to know, like I said, if it was just the two of us, it would be a different ball game. But with the children, you really want to know how much you have of each. So I went through, I counted it, I put the dosage, like I said earlier, how often you take it, all that kind of stuff. And that is incredibly time consuming. So that is the one thing that I said this kit was lacking, that it really should have had that all itemized. You could just copy and paste it.
And the one thing about all these things is that because these are all medications, they all have expirations. So this is like an ongoing process to make sure that everything is current and up to date, because these things expire.
Yeah, that's another thing. I did put the expiration, not of everything, but of a lot of them, I put the expiration date beside them. So rather than having to go through the entire medical kit, I can just look down the Excel spreadsheet and say, okay, we really need new antibiotics, we need new this, we need new that. A lot of the stuff still works well past its expiration date, but you probably don't want to mess around with that with the more serious stuff like antibiotics. So I'm just going to go through our other bins quickly. I'm not going to open up everyone, but these are some additional things that were not in the kit that we had either in our other medical kit that we've always traveled with or that we thought were relevant. So bug sprays, painkillers and anxieties. This one barely has anything in it, but it does.
We emptied it out on our crossing from Portugal to here. It was pretty full.
We don't really suffer from anxiety, any of us. However, I mean, it's no surprise that I had a lot of fear in the beginning of sailing. We did get a prescription. We haven't used it yet, but I just still think that having anxiety medication on board, even if you're not someone who's prone to anxiety, it should be there, because things can happen at sea and you can just be pushed into a space that you didn't know even existed when you're in extreme conditions. So that's my little, tidbit for that. There was very little cold medication in this, and although we don't get colds very often in this family, we have powder packs like Emergency and Echinacea and stuff like that are more natural ways to kind of combat a cold when you can feel it coming on. This is a duplicate, so we have a whole thing in there for wounds. This is just a little mini one for wounds, so that someone, if they just need a Band-Aid, they don't have to dig all this out. Sleep, female, and immune system. So there's natural sleep aids in here, which frankly none of us ever use because we have no problem sleeping. Some natural female stuff for cramps and whatnot. This is a good one too. So we have medication in here for yeast infections and urinary tract infections. Emma and I are not prone to them. I've only had one UTI in my life. But if you've had one, you really need some serious medication to get rid of it, and it's really, really painful. So we've got 2 stocks of it in here in the event that happens. In the event we have another female on board, and she has one. Antibiotics, which were not in the medical kit as well. Allergies, eye wash, and sinus. There's a little bit of that in there, but as you can tell, I'm a very sniffly person. I have a lot of allergy issues, so we kind of have stuff and sinus issues for everything in here. We also have an inhaler in here in the event, we need something to that degree. Let's see, vertigo, seasickness, and jet lag, guys. This is my own little packet here. You want to talk about seasickness for a minute, you think?
Yeah, what do we have in there?
Okay.
So Jessica is generally the one who gets seasick the most in this family. And Largo does have it on occasion.
Yeah.
And Avalon, if she's
looking at her
computer a lot, she'll start to feel the effects of it.
So this is not comprehensive. And I think at some point we should just do a whole seasickness video. I have tried everything under the sun, from like standing upside down, any kind of holistic, whatever anyone has given me, I have tried it. I started the process going with the least invasive. I am now at the point where I will take anything you give me I don't care about the strength, the drowsiness, whatever it is, because I was so sick on this last crossing. But right now, Dramamine has not worked at all. And my favorite go-to right now are these scopolamine patches. This is not sold in Spain. And this is something that I have some people have given me theirs and they're expired, but I think they're still good. This is kind of my go-to right now.
I think the major lesson we've learned with seasickness and medication is that if you're going to be on a boat for a while and you're going to be cruising for a long-term basis, instead of saying, well, I'm going to start with the holistic stuff, I'm going to start with the ginger and the natural stuff, which sounds fantastic.
It does.
You're still going to get sick until you hit that point where you actually feel okay.
Yes.
I think the better
very
solution,
important to bring this up.
and it's not, if you're more naturalist, more of a purist, you'll be like, no, I don't want to go that way.
And do what's right for you.
And do what's right for you and consult your doctor before you take any medication. However, for us, we think it's best for Jessica to go ahead and start with the hardcore stuff, meaning the scopolamine patch, which is we
it's
you consult the doctor,
yeah,
and then work your way backwards to
Absolutely.
see. Okay, well this works. Now, can I not take this and take Dramamine instead, which is a little less potent? And if that works, can I go a little bit less than there and then see what your happy place is?
Can I go just down to the bands? Oh wow, I didn't really need all that. That was a big mistake on my behalf because now we're crossing an ocean and I'm trying out all the different stuff at this point. I would not do that again. And I also have, besides this, I have some other different forms of pills of different degrees that I can try as well. And we will do a whole vlog on that because I have so much to say about that. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for all of you who watch our vlogs and send in everything that you've tried or things that have worked for you because I've tried them all. Trust me. Even those ugly glasses, which are in one blog. Moving on, headache and fever. There is some headache and fever stuff in the medications for sure. We have our go-tos here and of varying strengths that we just have in there because this is one of the most used packages. And we have some natural stuff as well. All right, sore muscles, diarrhea, stomach, gas, constipation. Yum. We actually don't use this one too much. We use the sore muscle one. We try to go as natural as possible. So we have some arnica gel in here and some other stuff. We have charcoal. And the final one is vitamins and cat. So, Century's an interesting story. Thank you, Nick. We were hanging out with one of our patrons and dear new friend in Lagos, and he said to us, what kind of a medical kit do you have for the cat? And I was like...
Our heads got, huh? What? You know, it makes perfect sense. However, you don't think of it because we
just didn't think of it.
Well, we're new pet owners as well.
Yes.
So we were, the thought of having a kit on standby, is just, it didn't make sense to us.
Right. So I called the vet who we had already been to visit because Century got fixed and also because she played in the engine oil, and that's a whole other story. So they gave us eye cream, ear cream, a ton of bandages. I don't know what they think she's going to get into. Some wound care and antibiotics. And there's one other little tube down there as well. And it is unlikely, probably the only thing we'll end up using in there is probably the eye cream because this type of cats sometimes get eye infections. But I am grateful that we have this. This is really...
And this is another great reason why you have your satellite communications. Because if you feel like you know little about human care, you know even less about animal care.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done. I mean,
right.
We would have probably tried some human stuff on her, but that probably wouldn't have been a good idea. So how much space does this take up? This stuff is in a cupboard down in one of the holes, and it just kind of stacks up really well, and the labels face out, and it's wonderful and organized. This we decided to put in another cupboard over there.
It's on a shelf.
It's on a shelf with the labels facing out, so in the event one of the kids, when we say, go grab wound or whatever, they can just grab it.
Right, and the idea is that we don't want, I mean, as much as we like this bag, and it's
wonderful.
It's very marine. It's got reflective tape on it. It looks like it's very waterproof, and I think it will serve a dual purpose one day in life.
We might use it for something else.
But
maybe
right
suitcase.
now, to go ahead and have to dig this out underneath wherever it might reside,
yes.
and then take out the right case, and then figure out what on earth it is. We'd rather just have these out and sort of at a place where we can just see what they are and just grab and go.
Yeah.
And so that makes then these just as accessible as these, and then we can go from there.
They're both on that side of the hull, right beside each other.
Right. Now, as far as our ditch kit, though, we do have a separate first aid kit that goes along with that. So
Yeah.
if you think, wow, you have a lot. Well,
We have more.
We have more.
How much time did it take? I've been working on it for months on and off. I really, let's see, 60 hours
Around there.
on this. Then that's between, like I said, researching, gathering lists, comparing, contrasting, asking doctors, asking nurses, talking with Will, organizing, itemizing, and then going to the pharmacy and picking up things.
It's an ever-growing kit as well.
It
It's
is.
an ever-evolving kit.
We would like to add a defibrillator and a couple of other items on board, but that's very expensive and frankly, at this point, I think unnecessary for our family and our medical situation.
Right. And then as far as keeping all this organized, we have an Excel spreadsheet which we have every single item meticulously documented as to what it is. And we also have every single medication down to what it is, what its pharmaceutical name is, and then what it's used for, because as much as we have a brand name X, its actual active ingredient is Y, and it's used to treat Z. So if we go into a pharmacy and we say we need this brand, they'll be like, we don't have it. Oh, we need just this product. The moral of the story in all this is that, you know, when you do have a boat, you are responsible for yourself and your crew. And the idea of accumulating a kit like this is not ever to say, wow, look what I have. It's to be ready in case, and hopefully you never have to use it.
And it's also, I know it's not our responsibility to take care of everyone we meet out in the world, but in the event we're at sea and someone needs help, or we see someone, they may not have, you know, something that they need, and we're more than willing to help someone in an emergency situation. So I know we've had people give stuff to us when we've had issues traveling medicine wise, and I would be willing to help someone else out along the way. So
It's amazing what you can exchange for a beer. But,
you need a catheter for a beer for a catheter.
either way.
All right, so I know this probably isn't one of our more exciting vlogs. I hope you have found it interesting and at least informative, and even those of you who have no interest in sailing, I hope you're looking at us, giving us a high five, like, okay, you're being responsible, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to protect our family against things that may happen out at sea when we don't have the resources of medicine kind of at our disposal. If you have any questions about, you know, kind of our kit or what we're using, or suggestions or anything, or something you think we're missing, let us know in the comments.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to what is in our medical kit. I have worn my glasses so that I can look like a doctor.
You're very professional
right?
today.
Welcome to what's in our medical kit. And I'm wearing my doctor glasses so I can look very serious and
You
professional
sound
here.
like a game show host right now.
I do.
You really do.
Welcome to what is in Jessica, Will, Avalon, Largo, and Sentry's medical kit.
In other words, we didn't go on any adventures this week, so
Oops.
we have.
Throwing the stuff
We're
around.
gonna show you what's on our boat.